What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bird's Eye View with Erica McCall. I just added that in the title, y'all. So now when you type in Erica McCall on Apple or on Spotify, you'll see the show pop up. So shout out to my producer, Ben. Thank you for helping me out with that. But anyways, we're back with another episode 8. And this one's going to be a fun one, y'all. I'm so excited. For those who don't know who I am Erica Bird McCall, because my last name is McCall. So everyone calls me Bird. And I'm entering into my 6th year of playing professional ball. I played 4 years in Hungary, 1 year in Turkey. I've been all around the WNBA right now. I'm working out, rehabbing, getting myself right to go out and play in Spain. And currently I just moved to Arizona, y'all, for better basketball and training opportunities. And it's hot. I'm from Bakersfield, California. And it reaches, we get to like 105, 106. This is something different here. This is something different. It's like 105 as soon as I go outside in the morning at 9 a.m. It's extremely hot. And I don't want to go to hell. That's all I got to say. It is hot out here, but I'm enjoying myself. Shout out to Coach April Schilling, who's been working me out, and my PT that I've been working with. But anyways, like I always do, I'm talking too much. My reason for starting this podcast is to help educate fans on what professional women basketball players go through overseas in WNBA, AU, the list goes on. We're an all-inclusive podcast. And today, my guest has done so many opportunities of professional basketball from college all the way up to the highest level that you can get in the pros. So I'm so happy to bring on my guest, Jillian Alleyne, my Pac-12 sister, back the pack. Jill, thanks for being on.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, Jill, I've competed against Jill for a while when I was at Stanford. She was at Oregon. We had some amazing battles. She always won in the rebounding portion, and we'll get to that a little later. She was a machine, a literal machine. But Jill, like I said, thank you for being on. We saw each other at the Sparks game a couple of weeks ago. I was like, Jill, you got to come on the pod. We're going to make it happen. And here we are making it happen.
Finally here.
I love it. Well, let's read off your bio, please. Please. Okay. Jill was drafted by the Phoenix Mercury in 2016. She played for the Minnesota Lynx and the Washington Mystics. In 2016, she was a Pac-12 Player of the Year. You know how big time that is? One, because we're the best conference in the nation. So that's just like being the best player in the nation. That's what I like to say. I'm telling you, they don't give the West Coast enough credit. And of course, we're from the West Coast, so we're biased. But I'm telling you, like, we have a freaking strong conference, one of the best conferences in the nation, if not the best. People don't want to mess with us. I'm sure all the SEC and ACC and the Big Ten is about to come for me, but I don't care because I'm a Pac-12 freaking lover. But anyways, back to the bio. So y'all, let me tell you, we were talking about the rebounds. Let me tell y'all, for her college career, she finished 3rd for most ever rebounds, most ever, and 2nd most double doubles in NCAA Division I history. Like, crazy rebounding machine, y'all. Like, amazing score as well. But the things that she does for rebounding, it's incredible. Jill, how tall are you again?
I'm 6'3".
6'3".
Yep.
6'3", competing with players who are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", yet out rebounding them daily. Big time legend, Pac-12 legend. Jill, thank you for being on. Before we get into the fun stuff, of course, we are an all-inclusive podcast, so we like to talk about overseas accolades. Jill has played in Spain, Israel, Russia, and Poland. Did I miss one?
No, that's perfect.
Accuracy. I did my homework. Thank you. Jill, because you are a rebounding legend, because you are a double-double machine, this game is simply called double-double.
Oh, very clever.
Okay. Thank you. Everyone calls it corny, but I like to consider it clever.
Very clever.
Okay, first question. Who is your favorite rebounder of all time?
Favorite rebounder of all time? That is a great question. I'm gonna have to go with my favorite player, which is Lisa Leslie.
I like that. LA legend.
Yes, LA connection, the Cali connection.
Yes. Lisa. I've been wanting to get Lisa on the podcast, so this is another shout out to Lisa. Lisa,
Yes,
you're more than welcome. But amazing player, amazing rebounder. Yes, shout out to LA, another Pac-12 legend, SE. So incredible. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Now you went to Oregon, and Oregon was decked out always.
Yep. Yes, that's it.
She's holding up her O. What was your favorite Nike shoe?
Favorite Nike shoe? Oh, the Nike KDs they gave us were pretty dope. I feel like I got like the Team LeBron Soldiers, but we got a pair of KDs. Cold. I have to say that's been my favorite as far as at Oregon. Yeah.
Okay, KDs. I remember we got some KDs. We made it to the Final Four, and I never wore them because they're just like so snazzy, so colorful. They had a different color scheme. I never even tried to play them. They were just for for displaying at my house. Now they're up in my mother's living room. So shout out to KD. Okay, I asked this for all my guests who have played for legendary coaches. Coach Kelly Graves is absolutely legendary. The things that he's done, especially at Oregon and when he was at Gonzaga, amazing. So does Kelly have any Kellyisms? Like we call them Tarisms, things that he consistently says, either they're funny or they got on your nerves, but he always said some things that you were like, okay, we got it. Does he have any?
Yes, he has a lot. Oh my gosh, Coach Kelly. His biggest one is character flaw. We'll be in practice, you drop a pass, you don't make a good pass, it's a bad shot. He'll be like, that's a character flaw. And we're like, what? Like, a character flaw is so, I feel like, intense. I'm like, it was just a bad pass. I'm sorry. So
right? Like, dang, I messed up one time. Your character is messed up, girl. Messed up.
Done. He'll be like, that's a character flaw. What's another thing? Coach Kelly has so many. I just remember that one being so. Another thing is I always used to go over my left shoulder. So sometimes in games, he'll just be like, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder. Like you can ask any of my teammates. There was one game where he just kept saying that over and over and over, basically telling me to go over my right shoulder. And I was just like, it's working though. But, he's the best because he knows how to get you to be better and work on things that you're, not comfortable with.
I feel you. I'm still stuck on this left shoulder. So
he literally looked me dead in the face and he was like, left shoulder, left shoulder, left shoulder. I think the team figured out that I kept going to my left shoulder. So he's like, if you don't turn to your right shoulder and shoot, it was funny.
It was out to Coach Kelly. That reminds me when you say character flaw, everyone loves when I say a Tarism, and this is one that she would always say. She used to say, a repetition of error is a lack of intelligence. Anytime and it wasn't anytime, but it was just like if we were like really messing up a drill. Yeah. And that's what we were like. Because at Stanford, we hold heavy on our intelligence. And for her to attack it like that, we were hurt. Exactly. And so Tara knows how to get on your skin and she knows how to make you better. Because saying something like that to some Stanford athletes, like, our intelligence? Really?
No, absolutely. Hey, Tara and Kelly, just hearing that, it's the same as his character flaw. Like they attack like the thing that's like most personal. We're like, dang, we just messed up a little bit, but they're like, no, it's deeper than that. And then we're like, we'll be better.
I was a kind girl. Character flaw.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love asking what the isms are for different coaches. Okay, now this one, I'm hoping that you got to catch on, but what is your in and out order?
A double, of course. Whole grilled onions, no tomatoes. That's my double order.
No tomatoes. Yes.
I caught where you were going with that, but I had to tell the order still.
Yeah, but I knew you order a double because who goes in and out and doesn't get a double? Who just gets one patty?
One patty.
For those of you that not know, Birds I View is a West Coast podcast, and we like West Coast food. We like West Coast conferences. So we are going to brag about it every chance we get. For those who have not tried In-N-Out, it's amazing. A lot of people like to say it's overrated. It's just a what does it say when you talk about wine? Like it's an acquired taste.
Acquired taste. I don't know. I think In-N-Out honestly is superior to a lot of other places. I know a lot of East Coast and Midwest people are gonna come. Whataburger, Rallies. I just haven't found anything better than In-N-Out, in my opinion.
I agree. And don't y'all dare say for me to go to no White Castle. That is an absolute insult. I would never, ever. We don't do that at Bird's Eye View. In-N-Out stand right here. But right my here. Order, I get a double animal style.
Ooh, that's good. Do you get the animal style on the fries though, or just the burger?
Now this is my little trick so that I don't have to pay for the animal style. So when you ask for, you can just ask for extra sauce, special sauce on the side. I don't like the cheese on my fries, so I just ask for extra sauce on the side. I just put it all on the fries, so it's kind of similar to like the animal style. So
I do that too, actually. I get the special sauce and put it on my fries, but the animal style burger I have not had yet. I don't like cheese on my burger, so I don't know if I would like it. In-N-Out is good.
It's elite. Okay, we're talking too much. We sound like foodies, so I'm going to go on to the next question. I'm hungry, and that's probably why I'm still talking about In-N-Out.
Okay.
Okay, last question. If you could get a double-double against any team, we'll say college or pros, and you talking big stuff to your team, it's like, yeah, I just got a double-double on them. Who would it be? I won't get mad if you say Stanford.
Wow, that's a great question. I feel like if I have to check my track record, I think I've gotten a double-double on every team in the Pac-12. So
she talking big stuff, y'all. That's tough. That's tough.
Oh man, that's tough. Honestly, I would just want to get a double-double. My first double-double in the league would be great. Like my first double-double in the WNBA, whatever team it is, like I'll be happy about that. I
like that answer. And you talking and you hyping yourself up. I agree. I have yet to get a double-double in the league. I was so close last year. All I needed was I either had like 13 rebounds and 8 points or 15 points and 8 rebounds. Like I'm always so close.
I think I remember that game too. I remember thinking like, dang, she was so close. Like, all she needed like 1 or 2 of something else. And I was like, she's so close.
Yes. Me and Joe played together at Washington for a little bit, and I was honored because for me to play with Jill, we battled back and forth for so many years. So it was a pleasure for me to play with my Pac-12 sisters, along, with Sydney as well, just people that I've competed against for years, and we had some amazing battles. And still after the games, we shake hands, we hug each other, we appreciate and respect each other's work. And so for us to come together and play on the same team in Washington, the East Coast team at that, it was a true pleasure. So I just want to say that.
That's a good point right there.
Well, Jill, you survived the game portion of the show. Did you enjoy it?
I did. It was great.
Thank you. And I thank you for going along with my double-double. I really try to get creative with sometimes the creative juices they're not flowing, but I thought that was good for the double-double.
It was very good. It was a chef's kiss. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, let's move on to the interview portion of the show. We're going to get into some college talk, some league talk, and some overseas talk. And it's gonna be a good time. You ready?
I'm ready.
All righty. Well, let's start off with your Oregon days. One, why did you choose Oregon? Well, what made you, say like, hey, this is the school for me? Was Kelly there all 4 years?
No. So I was recruited by Coach Paul Westhead, who actually used to coach the Lakers.
Legendary, yes.
Yes, assistant coach was like Chandrika Lee, Dan Muscatel. Why I committed to Oregon is, for me, it was big to be a part of a program that was building something great. Like I know for sure I wanted to be a part of something, like setting that foundation and kind of building that legacy of being a great school. I felt like Oregon was headed in that direction. And after my visit, I took all 5 of my official visits, which nobody did. now. I went to Oregon, ASU, Georgetown, San Diego State, and Kansas, KU.
Very, very starkly different schools. You lost me at Kansas.
I had to go. Look, I had the West Coast. I had San Diego. I was like, okay, if I stay in California, let me at least check out San Diego State. Then I had the Midwest, and I had the East Coast with Georgetown. So get a feel for all of them. See what I like the best.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. And you went with Oregon because what was your visit like? I like to hear other people's visits because some people are just like, yeah, I mean, the visit wasn't that great, but I knew I wanted to go here, so I did. But was that the case for you, or did you just really enjoy your visit?
I love my visit. I mean, it's very hard to beat Oregon. We have some of the top facilities. Everything there is great. Like, I don't think there was a moment where I wasn't in awe of what was offered to the athletes. Just, I love that it's a college town. That's a big thing for me growing up here in California. I feel like that college town aspect I never had. My visit was honestly amazing. I was just, my mouth was on the floor the entire visit. Like the Nike, the Oregon Jays, I'm like, okay, the creator Phil Knight of Nike is literally like, this is Nike University. So that was a great visit, honestly. I don't have enough words, as you can see, but it was a great visit.
No, I understand. I remember like I was lightly recruited by Oregon, and like that was the biggest straw, was like Nike everything. Y'all had the toughest shoes,
right,
sweatsuits, backpacks, all that. So I understand. I'm sure your visit was absolutely amazing, and
yeah.
One of the reasons I'm sure why you decided to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I remember, and I still have a video of, is the football game. So when you go, there's a whole student section, and somehow, some way, they got the entire pit crew, which is what we call our student section, and they were just shouting like a chant in my name. Like, I remember it was like, Jillian Alleyne, come to Oregon. And when I tell you the entire, I was like, no.
Wow, that is amazing.
Cool.
Wow, I would have went there too. Sure.
You know me, and then they won't stop. Like, they won't stop until you throw up the O. It was just I was like, this is cool. That's really cool.
That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought my experience is cool. When I went on my visit to Stanford, we beat SC, and SC was ranked #1 at the time. And we all got to rush the field. And so I'm in the middle with Shanae when we came, like, yeah, with all the football players. And I just thought that was absolutely me. That was one of the reasons why I went to Stanford, because that experience was so dope to me. But to hear your name being called by this whole student body.
Right. Yes. I feel like
Amazing.
a common experience here. The universities figure something out, because rushing the field, that's cool.
It was pretty dope. I'm sure the coaches were like, oh my gosh, don't get hurt. But I was like, yeah, this is the best experience of my life. So, hey, college, and I encourage, different students you want all 5, and there's nothing wrong with that, to go out and explore, to see what's available for you, because honestly, the business have a big way of showing you, of where you need to go, or what your right place is. I went to some visits, and I was like, I don't think this is one for me. But but before that, I really enjoyed the school. When I went to visit, I'm like, I don't think I'll really fit in here. And so take your guys' visits, enjoy it, eat good food. Tara took us to steakhouses. I was like,
y'all had all the money up there.
Yeah, we was on Tara's car. So enjoy your experiences. So I have nothing against you taking all 5. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I know a lot of kids aren't doing it now, but if you can, definitely take the visit. Like, it's worth it for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, we got away. That was my fault. Talking all about visits. So you chose Oregon. And what was your freshman year like?
Freshman year was honestly probably the hardest year at Oregon. I honestly think we won 4 games my freshman year. I'm not kidding. Wow. I think I was like, what the heck? I had just came from high school where we went 30-4 and won a CIF championship, to then go into my freshman year in college where we won 4 games. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is not what I signed up for. Like I was, expecting to come here and win. So that was really difficult for me as far as basketball. But as far as my experience, like I loved it. I loved my teammates. That transition from high school to college was a lot easier because I had such good people around me. Of course, it was hard, the 6 a.m. weights, I was only 150 pounds going into college, which is insane. I was like a rail. So it was just like a whole new world for me, lifting weights, the conditioning. It was a lot. The school, the studying, it was a lot. But like I said, Oregon does such a great job of setting us up for success. Like the athletes have everything that they need, everything structured. You have tutoring sessions. We have a place called the JQA, which is the only for student athletes. I think anyone can come on the first floor, but anything above that is only student athletes. That's our tutoring rooms. That's where we go get our help. So honestly, we were set up for success.
I love that. And that's what a lot of people at Stanford, like people think of Stanford and they're like, oh, I bet it was so hard. Like, and Coach Kate Pace always say, like, it's almost impossible to fail Stanford. The amount of resources that we provide for you, like if you actually use the resources, there's no way that you can fail out of Stanford. Like you're going to succeed. We set you up to succeed. So I love that Oregon also, shares their experience.
Yes, absolutely. And I honestly think that makes a difference. I think a lot of people think we manage it on our own, but there's so much help. Like shout out to our help, honestly, because it's a blessing. It makes a difference for sure.
Absolutely. Shout out to my writing tutors. I was not the best writer going to Stanford, and with the help of them, they really helped me out, making my writing better and allowed me to be successful at Stanford. So shout out to them. But I want to go back to what you said, that you guys only won 4 games. So what was your mindset? Were you like, you said this was not what I signed up for? Were you like, I need to leave? Or were you like, okay, you know what? I envisioned that I'm going to be a part of a school that's going to be a part of something special. So this is all a part of the process. What was your mindset there?
To be very honest with you, and no one knows this outside of my family, I was ready to go. I was like, I remember calling my mom at the end of the season, like just crying. I was like, I'm unhappy as far as the basketball, like not the basketball itself, but the losing. I was like, we're losing. I just came from winning in high school, which obviously is different, but you don't expect to come into your freshman year only winning 4 games. Yeah. I remember calling my mom and just being like, I want to leave. I want to transfer. Like, this isn't what I signed up for, essentially. But my mom, being a woman of faith, like my mom has always told me, like, grow where you were planted. She's like, if you start something, you have. And I remember her saying that to me, and I was just like, she's like, I think you should stick it out. She's like, it's gonna get better. You chose this school for a reason. Like, don't just bail at the first, inconvenience or the first thing that doesn't go well. So I just remember her saying, like, stick it out, like grow where you're planted and see what happens. And, thank God for her, because every year after that was so much better.
Shout out to moms in your history books, because you continue to grow and you blossom into a beautiful or how do you pronounce it? Oregonian. Oh, something like that. Tree. You blossom into a beautiful tree. So shout out to moms. I love that. I also too had feelings of my sophomore year, like it was like the end of the Owuke era. That was our first, year without playing with Owuke, which is like 8 years, they did that. So we were finding a whole new identity and we were losing. I wasn't playing like I thought I was, I'm like freshman year. I'm like, okay, that happened. Now it's my time to step up. And it was just like, we made it to the Sweet, which for Stanford, making it to the Sweet or losing in the Sweet 16 is like a failure season for us. So like we knew like that summer was gonna be freaking terrible. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I don't know if this is, I'm not getting the opportunities that I think I should get. I don't think that, I don't like losing, so it was tough. And so that year I went to go talk to her. I went to her office. I was like, look, I want to play more. So how can we make this happen? I didn't feel like this, like I'm big and bold like that. I was like so nervous. I was shaking. I'm like, Tara, I'm like, more opportunity and
oh, I have to hear how that went, because that's bold, especially as an underclassman. That's very bold.
It was something, especially, I mean, my dad was like, this is what you're gonna have to go and do. He was like, now when you do it, don't be shaking your legs, don't look nervous, look confident, look strong. I was like, okay. Yeah, so I think that I think that I should play more, and I would like more opportunities. So if you can tell me what I can do to get those opportunities, I'll do them. And she's like, well, Bird, you need to do this, this, and this. I don't know what she told me. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And that was kind of it. And then that summer I went to go play for USA, and that kind of like blossomed with my confidence. And I came back in junior year. I balled out. That was like my breakout season at Stanford. And Tara always talks about that conversation every time she does like some speech, like, I remember Bird came to my office and said you want to play more. So I mean, it's those type of conversations that we have to have, if things aren't going right, at least try to communicate and see if there's even opportunity for you to, stick it out and, try to push through. And so I'm proud that I did that. I'm hyped that your mom, had that conversation with you. Those tough conversations that we have to have in order for us to push through the things, and look at us now,
Absolutely.
We're freaking Pac-12 legends.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God for your dad just, preparing you for that. I just give you so much credit for going in there and saying that. Like, first of all, it's Tara Vanderveer. It's not like, you're going to a legendary coach and say, as a sophomore, like, I want to play more. Like, but the way you followed it up is like, what can I do? Because, a lot of people just demand the time, but they're not asking what you want to see out of me, because maybe what to see out of us isn't the same as what we think we should be giving to get that time.
Beautiful. Yeah. I want all the players in college to listen out to this. I'm gonna try to clip this for the social media, because I think it's so important to hear. I know, what we went through is different for what different colleges spirits went through, and there's nothing wrong with transferring. If you feel like something is better out there for you, do it. But sometimes sticking to where you're at can be a beautiful process, and it allows you to become, one of the best, players that you thought, who wouldn't even imagine that you could be. So
yes,
beautiful. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. You say something?
I said words of wisdom. I hope you can clip that, because that was
will do. Well, freshman year definitely was something, but you guys went on to become a team that was one of the best teams in the Pac-12, and you were a huge part of that. I want to talk about your rebounding and the double doubles, because I just find it fascinating as a post player.
Yeah.
Was that always something a part of your game, or is that something that you work towards? When did Kelly come along? Did he help that in your process of becoming one of the best rebounders in Pac-12 history?
So to answer your first question, I think rebounding was always something I did. I was always very tall for my age. Like, no matter what grade I was in, I was always the tallest, taller than all the boys. So whenever I played, like, I realized that's how I was going to get the ball, by rebounding. I honestly didn't realize I was as good at it until I got to college, I would say, is when people started to notice it. And I just, I've just been doing it. So it wasn't like, so it was very like, okay, like, I actually do that pretty well. So something that comes very naturally for me. I can't even say it's something that I work on. It's literally something that comes very naturally. As far as Coach Kelly, he came after my sophomore year. So my junior year is when he came from Gonzaga to Oregon. And I would say not only did he make me a better rebounder, but a better player. He taught me a lot of things and verbiage and ways of the game that I didn't have before. Like, before Coach Kelly came in, if you look at my film, like, I was never ducking in. I didn't even know what that term was, which was crazy to be going into my junior year, not knowing what that was. Like, I remember I was like, what is that? Like, he'll be saying stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because if you know who Coach Westhead is, his system is just go, go, go. Like, it's a track race. Like, we are running, we're trying to get the ball out as fast as we can. We want the first shot that we can get. It's not a half court set. Let's set up, let's run this, let's do that. It's like this. So transitioning from like literally one end of the spectrum to another was difficult, but Coach Kelly definitely made me a better player.
Absolutely. How was that transition from just different systems, different coaches, different coaching styles? How is that? Because there's players out there who experience that. They stay at the school when a coach leaves, and they've got to go through a whole new transition. It's almost like you're a rookie again.
No, absolutely, 1,000% a rookie again. And it was difficult, honestly. But the biggest thing that I always remember him saying is you have to buy in from the beginning. He's like, if you don't buy in, it's going to be difficult. So I bought in from everything that he was saying. Coach Jody, Coach Mark, I was like, I'm bought in. Like, I want to learn everything that I can. So you do feel like a rookie again. Again, like what I was learning in the first system was the polar opposite of what I was learning in Coach Kelly's system. So it was difficult for sure. And I definitely struggled. Like Coach Kelly would probably say it and admit it, and I'll admit it, I struggled. But the way it just transformed my game leaps and bounds, I'm so thankful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine how tough that is, but you're a walking testament that buying in can be allow for success.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%.
And I think that goes for every level.
Every level. And the hardest thing is a lot of times when you transition from one coach to another, players kind of think like they have it figured out, or, you know, what you're telling me is wrong, or I'm just not used to it, so I'm not going to do it kind of thing. And it's like, no, like if you really let go of what was and just buy into what is, you'll see so much success.
For sure. Tell them, Jill, wisdom.
When I was in college, I'm telling you, I was struggling. I used to go home after practices, like just so sad. Like, I'm like, I'm never going to get this. This is so hard, but it worked out.
I feel that was my freshman year, sophomore. I'm like, yo, me and Kylie Johnson, I'm like, we were messing up every day. I'm like, I am not getting it. Not getting it. And then it's just like one day clicks.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's how you do it.
It's that one day and it's like, yep, I got it. Yeah. And
you got it. And after that, it's smooth sailing. So let's talk about your senior year. Really a, All-American style senior year. You were balling. Just talk a little about just that whole year for you.
Yeah. Senior year was amazing. I think that was one of my best years outside of my sophomore year. We were winning. I think it was our winningest, however, that word is so complicated. Winningest year in my 4 years. Everything was starting to click. It was Coach Kelly's second year. He returned most of the team. We had 6 seniors. We had a grad transfer, Kat Cooper. So everything was just starting to click. It felt good. Everything was good. I mean, senior year was amazing. Yeah. That was the year for sure that I thought we were going to break into the NCAA tournament for the first time in like, I don't know, probably like 10 plus years, 15 plus years. We were for sure.
That senior year team is the reason why Oregon is so successful today.
1,000%. I agree. Yes.
That was definitely y'all. I remember when we were playing y'all, I'm like, dang, like 2 years ago, they were trash. Here's we played Oregon, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is a walk in the park. I remember you barely had people in the stands. There was no one really there going into my senior year, like hacked.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So that was a testament to what you guys did and how you guys, led the way, passed the baton to that new generation of Oregon basketball. So kudos to y'all for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I think that kind of sometimes gets lost. I think that year definitely put Oregon in a position to where the players that came in after us were like, oh, okay, we saw them. We see what they're doing. We want to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I claimed the championship from Stanford. All those teams between the last championship to now, we were a part of that. And we are a part of why people want to come. We are a part of why Tara is the way she is now, a part of her evolution as a coach. So I claim that championship.
That's good. And honestly, I think that's enough gotten in basketball. Like, people think these things happen overnight. They do not. These teams that become great, you look at South Carolina, Stanford's been good forever. So kudos. I mean, it's Stanford. Like South Carolina, Bailey's doing, like, this is not overnight. This is teams building. It's Asia Wilson, it's Tiffany Mitchell, it's you, it's Carly Samuelson, it's me, it's Lexi Peterson, like, just building. And then when the next generation comes, it continues to build, but it's a night process.
Yes, takes time, takes years. Honestly, you never see a first year coach winning a championship.
Absolutely
unheard of. It takes time. It takes evolution. That's why Dawn gave little championship trophies to her players like Candace Dupree all the way back then when she was at Temple, because they were the part of the process. So
that's really, I didn't even know that. Like, that's super cool.
Yeah. Celebrate yourselves. Celebrate us. We're part of the process. We're part of success. Yeah. Well, senior year, you were balling, and the day happens. You tore your ACL. I
Yeah.
remember when the day happened, like tweeting, like I tweeted like it's just not fair because you were balling, you were a first round draft pick. You were, bound to have a very successful, tournament run. And so I was hurt. So what was your mindset, when all that happened?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, even talking about it like makes me emotional. That day, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget just one, the pain, just how it happened, when it happened. It was literally a month before the draft. We were right there. Like we had just finished senior night. It was that Sunday. We had an off day and we practiced that Tuesday. And we're getting ready. We're feeling good about the Pac-12 tournament, then the NCAA tournament. I think they termed it as like an on the bubble team. So we were the road was golden. It was like, okay, see where we're going. Everything is good. And then I guess life, and I tore my ACL in practice. Get it. I was going up for a rebound. It was one of those drills where everyone's scrambling to get the rebound, so it's a dogfight. I went up, and I remember coming down. I had gotten bumped in the air, and then I also had stepped on someone's foot, so it literally just felt like my knee went like this. I mean, I'll never wish that pain on anybody. It was horrible. So man, that was a very emotional and still, emotional to this day. It was just crazy.
Well, even with all that, and just really a testament to who you are, and pushing through the pain and still being there for your team. And, despite of how the season ended, Jill, you're just an amazing person and people want to be around you. And so I know your team appreciated you despite of what you went through. And despite of all that, you still were drafted in the second round. What was that moment for you?
That was a really great moment. I remember Coach Kelly and his wife, Mary Graves, they threw me a draft party. It was at their house. It was so kind of them. I think I had class that day. I ended up going to the class. I went to class and I'm so excited. I'm like, this is so exciting. Like I still have the opportunity to get drafted. Did I know where I was going to land or where I was going to go? No, but I was very excited that I still had the opportunity. And I was so happy that Coach Kelly threw me a draft party. Everyone was there, all my teammates, the practice players, Coach Kelly and his family. And then just hearing my name called, I was like, this is crazy. Couldn't even jump because I had, my knee. So there's a video of me like literally just shooting my hands into the air. And I was just so happy. I mean, to still be drafted despite my injury was huge. That doesn't really happen anymore. So that was a big deal and a testament to, like you said, what I would have been if I did not get hurt. So to still get drafted was one of the best days so far in my life, I would say, for sure.
Absolutely. I love that. I love hearing draft day stories because, man, it's always a dream despite of what you went through, despite how low, how high. People don't care about that. Like I was drafted. This has been my dream since a little girl. And for you to get that opportunity to be surrounded by your Oregon family, I'm sure that was just a beautiful moment.
It was beautiful. And honestly, the biggest thing for me was I remember going on, like, I think Snapchat was big at the time. I don't know if people even still snap now, but
I have a Snapchat. I'll give it to you afterwards. Wait, you already have me.
It's okay. We barely be on it.
We're the old timers.
Exactly. I remember just going on social media, my family at home was so excited, but it was like the girls that were at my high school. So I grew up in the Inland Empire. So it was girls who were at my high school posting my picture, posting, Rebecca, saying my name, Rebecca Lobo. And it was just like, whoa, like not only did it impact me here at Oregon and my family, but it's people back home who are seeing this. It's my community. It's my teacher from English class. Like that to me was like, holy crap, like this is a bigger moment than just me. Like this affects everyone who's been a part of my process up to this point.
That's beautiful. I think I felt the same way just recently. Like we don't realize how impactful we are to people until like we hear stories like that, or we see, someone text you like, oh my gosh, like you're so amazing. Like the things that you've done, I'm so proud of you. And like I went to go talk at a little, AAU basketball team. And I'm just like, I'm Erica McCall. First of all, I'm injured. Like I'm just like, girls don't want to even hear from me. I'm like, I'm not in the league right now. Like, and then, I say my speech and, I try to uplift them the best as I can. And then, the mom tells me like, she cried in the car. She was so excited. I'm like,
Oh,
Me.
right. And it's like, what I saw your story on Instagram, like that's so cool because we really don't realize the impact that we're
Yeah.
leaving. Realize who's looking at us. It's really crazy. And I honestly, and not until just recently have I had people come to me from who I played against at other schools say like, you had a great career, or you did this, or you did that. And I'm like, you watched, you
Yeah.
saw me, paid attention. It was like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like every time I come back home, like I like to make sure that I visit like my high school or teachers that I'm still in contact with, and their kids will watch, they'll watch. And I'm like, that's crazy. That kind of impact, it's just, it's big, it's huge.
It is. And you're an inspiration to many, such as
Thank you.
myself. So so what was that process like, rehabbing and for you to be able to, get opportunity in the league? What was that like?
Rehabbing honestly was, I want to say horrible, but it was hard. Rehabbing was probably one of the hardest thing I've ever done as far as basketball. I've never had a major injury up until that point. Like, a couple ankle rolls, whatever, like that's regular, throw some ice, you'll be fine in 2 days. But to like go through an actual surgery, the bird's flying, sorry, to go through an
You're fine.
and then go through the rehab, it was, to be honest, it was a very dark time for me. I think mentally it was a lot. The pain, the concept of you have to come in every day just to get an inch back of your range of motion, learning how to walk again. It was very difficult for me. And my rehab, a lot of people don't know, actually ended up taking me 20 months. So an ACL injury only requires a 6 to 9 month recovery period. Mine was 20 months. Like it was very difficult.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was so long.
Yeah, a lot of people. That's why I'm actually going. So I'm 1 year ahead of you. I'm going into my 5th year as a pro, and you're going into your 6th because it took me 2 years, essentially. Yeah.
Was a lot of it, do you think a lot of it was mental, or it was just your body was just really working against you?
I think it was mental, one. Two, it was a lot of the person that was leading my training. I personally just didn't really like what was happening, what was going on. I didn't feel like things were going the way that it needed to be going. So that was very hard. And eventually I did have to leave and go do my rehab somewhere else. And another thing is my body is swelled. So everyone's body is different. Like some people don't swell at all. Other people swell like a balloon. Like I was a sweller, and that of course slows you down. It delays you. So it was a little bit of both. It was a lot of different varying factors. Mentally, I was strong enough to, show up every day and do what I had to do. But it was more so just like the structure of it and just the physicality that it actually took. Like you're telling me I have to learn how to walk again. Like we learn to walk when we're 6, 9 months years old. Like I have to learn to do this again. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine how hard it is. And especially like having to make that decision of changing PT, to get better, because you trust that person. You're like, okay, like they're going to lead me to the right path. And then you're like, okay, something's, my timing is off. I'm supposed to be at a different, level than what I am now. And I'm not. So I mean, I know that's tough having to change PT. I've had to do that before myself. So
yeah, it's difficult, and you're kind of navigating the situation on your own a little bit. It's very difficult. Like you look at Klay Thompson, what he went through. It's not easy. A lot of people think that we just, we go down and we pop back up. It does not work like that. Not even close. Like it's not even close.
I understand. I'm in it right now. So I understand. But you put in the work. It took some time longer than what you expected, but you got back in the league. So what has been your league experience been like?
My league experience it's been good. I did get back, so thank God for that. I've kind of had, I would say, I don't know if I would use the term roller coaster or just kind of an up and down experience. So the biggest thing for me was after I had finished my rehab, my knee, like I still didn't feel like where I needed to be. So like when I was in camp with certain teams, like you could tell it was very obvious. There was no hiding it. So a lot of teams, like a lot of reasons, that's why I had gotten cut, which okay. But once I was good, like I would say after my 2nd year of being a pro, I believe I was ready. I was good. It's just the league sometimes can be very difficult. I think a lot of times it's very political. Unfortunately, it is very political. I think there's just so much that a lot of people don't know that go into making a team in the WNBA. So I would say my first hurdle was getting over like proving to people that I'm still the player that I was, and also that I'm better than what I was. So that was the first hurdle. Did that. And then the next hurdle was just sticking on a team, staying for, the entire season, a coach believing in you. And that's a lot harder than it looks. Like, people see girls getting cut, and it's not because you're not good enough. Anyone who is in training camp is good enough to be in the league. There's a reason why. It's because, one, there's not enough spots, and two, it's just sometimes a lot of things work against you that are out of your control. Yes. Yeah. For the best terms to put it in.
Speak on it.
Like, anyone who's really in the WNBA and really has been like doing this will understand that. Like, anyone who's not on a team right now, like you, myself, like, it's not because we're not a WNBA player. We are WNBA players. It's the fact that there's so many hurdles we have to cross, other than just playing basketball, other than just being good at what you do. Like, that should be the main priority and the main, qualifying point to be on a team, but it's not. So yeah.
It's tough. Expansion is needed. Hopefully build a team in the Bay, so we can have opportunity to play out there. But I completely understand a lot of it is just out of our control.
Yes.
And the money in this now, with the new CBA, like, the money just makes it 20 times harder.
20 times harder. The new CBA is crazy.
For players like us who are not on a rookie contract and not like, the top level where we make, the
1%.
Big time money, exactly. We're in the middle, and the middle players being pushed out because now teams only have enough money for either the high paid players and a rookie contract.
Yes. And it's honest, if you really look at the substance of a league from the NBA to the NFL, it's that middle part. Like, it can't just be top and rookies, it has to be that middle part, those players that you go from maybe not getting playing time to being an MVP. That's what people want, and that's what deserves to have an opportunity. So with the middle being pushed out, it's difficult. It's really difficult.
It's difficult. I'm hoping the CBA changes within the next couple of years, especially for the middle player who needs to go overseas to make the money, because we, we're not making the big time salary. So we got to go overseas, but then we're getting in trouble for going overseas. So we don't have any opportunity in the league. So it's just like a constant cycle of us, of lack of opportunity.
Like 1,000%. And that's where that's the sticking point, is the lack of opportunity. Like, the talent is there, the players are there, the support is there. It's the lack of opportunity. We need expansion. There's 1,000%.
Well, you heard it here first, Kathy.
We met when I was at Minnesota. I know she's working on it. I know people are like drilling her about it. I believe that she's doing what she can, and I just hope we can see some kind of progression sooner than later, honestly. Yeah. I
think it's coming. She's a very clever businesswoman, and she knows how to handle money. She's right. Got, look at all those endorsements that she's got, for the league, a whole bunch of money. So all we can do is pray and, put in the work and just, see what, opportunity God provides us with. So simply all we can do.
Yes.
Well, we're in the league. You played with Minnesota. Big Sil till last year. Do you have a fun story about Sil, or just, what was it like, playing against Sil? I didn't have opportunity to really play against her that much because she was injured in the bubble, but just being around her presence, she's an amazing person.
Yes.
Mama Bear. Love her.
That is the word. She is the mom of the team. Like, I've been with the Lynx since 2019. Like, and Sylvia has been the one, you can't pick a better person to learn the game from. Like, I think a lot of times what I've learned in the pros is not everyone is a teacher. Not everyone is willing to teach you what they know. And Sylvia is willing to teach you everything that she knows. I'm never afraid to go and say, hey, Sil, like, I don't understand this. Can you help me? And she's just always so joyful about, okay, look, this is what you have to do, explaining it. So Sylvia Fowles has been one of my greatest, one of my best teammates, I would say, and just person all around. Like you said, like being around her, you're just happy. You're happy. Yeah. She's has good energy. She's a good person. I remember my first time I was with Minnesota, she let me ride in her car is amazing. I think it's a Jaguar. It's beautiful. It's just so perfect for her. She took me and a couple other rookies to this ice cream place. I can't remember. I love ice cream. Anyone who knows me knows that I love sweets. So I just remember her taking me and these other two girls and just talking to us, telling us what we need to do, like outside of basketball. Like, hey, look, max out your 401k as a rookie. It's going to matter later on. Like, those are the little tidbits that we don't usually get from a teammate. So for her to not only look out for me as a basketball player, but as a person, like, I was like, what? Like, I don't even know what a 401k is, but I'm glad you're telling me. So, Sylvia, she's amazing. I have no bad thing to say about Sylvia. I've loved every minute that I've got to be her teammate and play with her and practice with her and just learn from her.
I love that. I love Sil, and vets like her are incredible. They are what make, the rookies enjoy the league, and want to be better. And just her guidance and her spirit will be missed in the league. So I'm giving you all the flowers. You're an amazing person, amazing player. We're going to miss you. I hope you guys continue to ball out. I'm rooting for y'all to make the playoffs. I think you can. You guys are on. Yeah, you guys have some momentum. You guys just beat Chicago, which is the best team in the league right now. So rooting for y'all. I used to play for the Lynx. So hey.
Here's her flowers. As she's gonna retire this year, she deserves all the flowers. So shout out to you, Sil, for sure. And also another thing that I do remember, and it's crazy because you would think it's the stuff on the court that you remember about somebody, but it's really that off the court stuff. My rookie year, I remember she just we would be in the airport. I think, where were we? We had Chick-fil-A or something. I'm standing in line, like she's in line. Sylvia literally comes and takes, I think I'm like two people behind her because, when everyone gets off the plane at a different time. She comes and grabs me and tells me to order my food. She's like, Jill, you're not paying for your food. And I'm just like, what do you mean? She's like, you're a rookie. Like, you're not paying for anything. Like, whenever I was with Sil, she never allowed me to pay for anything. She's like, that's not how it works here. She's like, our sisterhood is taking care of the rookies. And it's the off the court stuff with Sil that really just resonates with me. Yeah.
That's so dope. I love Sil. That was Candace Dupree for me. Like anytime, I went out to eat, like Candace, like, no, rookies don't pay. And so that was when I became, a vet. Gosh, when I became a vet, like I was like, rookies don't pay. Like I got y'all. I got y'all. So I love that. Even though they made 10 times more than what I'm making, like it's still like the standard. Like as a vet, you got to take care of your rookies. They're going through a tough transition. So the least you can do is pay for your food.
After just getting screamed at a 2-hour practice, that is the best thing to know. Okay, looking out for me. And I mean, we can say so much about who she is on the court. Like learning from her is like a once in a lifetime chance. And I soaked up everything like a sponge.
Love it. Shout out to Sil. We love you. We love you. Congratulations on your retirement. You're an absolute legend.
Yes. 1,000%.
Well, let's transition out of the league to overseas. You played for 4 different countries. Mm-hmm. Where's been your favorite place to play?
My favorite place to play so far has been Israel.
Okay. Why so?
I grew up in the church, so faithfully every Sunday, my mom's taking me and my sister to church. We got the whole dresses, the whole everything. So being able to take the Bible and reading about Bethlehem and Jerusalem and then transition to actually being in the Holy Land and going to Jerusalem and going to Bethlehem, mind-blowing. That to me is literally taking something that I grew up with in my childhood that I read in the books every day and being in that place. Like, because a lot of times when we read stuff, especially if it's somewhere far, it's like another world to us. But to actually like step foot in Israel and go to these, historic places where Jesus walked, it's just like, whoa. So Israel's been my favorite for sure.
That's amazing. I definitely want to go there because, like you said, you read about in the Bible, but for you to be able to be, you know, at that place, where Jesus was, like Jesus used to be here. I think that's absolutely amazing. Did your connection with God become closer when you were in Israel?
I would say so, yes. I'm, to this day, I still read my Bible every day. I don't leave my bed, honestly, without praying. I call it talking to God because it's just,
It's a conversation. Yeah.
Conversation, and reading my word. So when I was in Israel, I even have in my Bible, I jotted down like the day that I read it. I'm like, oh, I'm in Israel this day, just to like remember. So I would say my relationship with God definitely got stronger. My faith got stronger. Yeah.
My grandma's going to be listening to this. She listens to my podcast every week. I send it to her and she's going to love this part. So she's
shout out Grandma McCall.
Yeah. She loves it. She's going to love that. Man, so Israel's been your top, and I'm hearing that Israel, they have an amazing just atmosphere. I mean, in the basketball community is close because you guys play in the same, vicinity, live in the same, areas. Was that the case for you, or were you one of the teams that was kind of far out?
No, that was the case for me. Everything's so close. If anything, the furthest team might be 20-25 minutes away. They just added Haifa, which is probably the furthest team. It's almost like a San Francisco, like
okay.
From LA. It's far. Like that's probably the furthest team, but everything's 10 minutes, 15-20 minutes away. The culture is great. All the Americans, like you said, we're all there, the men and the women, we all get along. Tel Aviv to me is like a Los Angeles, to be honest. I'm like, the people are great. I love that they're taught English in school. So their second language is English. So I felt like when I first touched foot in Israel, it didn't feel as foreign as like, like I felt like, okay, like these people also speak English. Like that's so helpful because Hebrew is probably the furthest thing away from English. So to be able, I can go into a store and maybe speak a little English was a game changer for sure.
That is, I mean, everyone says, agents all across the board, players say Israel is the most Americanized country to play basketball. Yeah. If you're a rookie, go to Israel, it's an easy transition for you. It's not like doesn't feel like you're playing in this super foreign country. The language is crazy. Like you guys have a lot of Americanized food, clubs, and you're surrounded by Americans. People speak English. So
right.
That's what I hear about Israel.
Yes. You haven't been? You haven't played in Israel?
I've never played in Israel.
Oh, you'd love it.
Maybe in the back end of my career. Everyone says it's a really good opportunity for the back end of your career because it's so chill, Israel.
Yeah. Israel it's really amazing. The food, I think when the first year I played there, Israel had just cracked the top 10 list for most healthiest countries as far as food. So everything there is very Mediterranean. You have hummus, you have pizza, like falafel, like a lot of vegetables, spices. I was like, this is the best food, honestly, I've ever had in any country. Like Israel is like up here. Yeah, I have to put my stamp on that one.
Okay, but I do hear that it's expensive.
Very expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. That is very true. Can't get past that, to be honest.
Yeah, like I heard my friends were like, yo, it is expensive out here. It's a beautiful country, great, great food, great people, but expensive. So I definitely got to go out there. If I never play out there, I definitely got to go out there to visit.
Absolutely. And another thing I love about it is it reminds me of California. It's not a cold place. It's not,
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty sunny the whole time that you're there playing. So you would love it. Yeah.
Okay. Israel, put it next on the list. Spain next. You never know. Israel could be coming soon.
It could be.
And how was your experience in Russia?
Oh man, Russia. Someone asked me that today, and I was like, Russia is not for everybody. It is really. I remember I had just came from playing in Israel, and I went to Russia. And when I talk about polar opposites, like day and night polar opposites, Russia, I think, is more of an isolated experience. You have one other American on your team, unless you're Ekaterinburg, who has like 6 Americans because they're ridiculous. But like you have one other American. Russia's so massive. If you ever looked at the map, Russia is insane. Like
I didn't know it was like the biggest country. Like it's wide and long. Huge. It's huge.
Yeah, within the country itself, I think there's like 13 time zones. It's crazy. Like I've never experienced anything like that. Like usually you have to go to another state to be in, or another country to be in a different time. In the country alone, there's a 13 different time zones. So
Wow.
played in Novosibirsk, which is basically Siberia.
Oh,
so,
it was cold. Yikes.
I icicle. The coldest it got was -39. My phone froze. I remember that day. I went outside for a brief moment. My phone just froze and shut. It was done. I was like, "What? No, this is unreal." Like freezing. But the biggest thing for me, because Russia was so isolated, is I really dived into the culture. So I downloaded an app. I was like, I'm gonna learn the language, because where I was at, it's not Moscow. So Moscow is like, think of Hunger Games, the capital city where all the rich people are at and they're doing that's Moscow. Like everything there is, I think, a little bit easier. But once you get outside of Moscow, it's a whole different world. So where I was at was 15 hours ahead of California, which is where, I live.
15,
so that,
goodness.
yeah, it was like a whole nother, I remember just like being so out of it so many times. I'd be like, okay, today's my Sunday, but it's probably still like Saturday morning or Friday night at home. Like, whose birthday is it? What am I missing? So, but like I said, because it was so isolated, I really just dived into the culture. I learned the language. I would say I speak Russian pretty well, which is pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah. And the city that I was in has the Novat, which is a world famous opera theater. I went to go see the Nutcracker for the first time. And if anyone knows anything about opera and ballet, Russia is like one of the top countries. Like they are superb in that career. So it's like to go and see that in Russia was really cool. They had a little downtown area. So I was going to all the cafes, coffee shops. I was eating. Eventually they knew me so well. Like when I walked in, if they had a person that translated or spoke English, like they came straight to the register and was like, how are you? Like, what would you like today? Like that's how frequently I was like getting out to learn about where I was at. That
is beautiful. And I'm always preaching that embrace yourself in the culture, because if you don't, you're gonna hate it, especially in a country like Russia where it is so isolated. It's freezing. You don't have a lot of Americans. It's hard for you to talk to your family. Like you have to put yourself in the culture in order to enjoy your experience and enjoy really your everyday life. Like to find little pockets of joy, within the overseas, because overseas, like we said, it can be really tough. Russia's not for everyone. And if you don't at least try to make it a fun experience, you got to put in the effort to do that. If you don't do that, you was on the edge, hey, this ain't gonna work out. Send me somewhere else.
No, 1,000%. Like words of wisdom right there. Like when you go overseas, for the players that are there now and the college players that will be there next, like get out, go see something, go visit something, go to a museum if you have to, but like try to get something out of it. Like you're there for 6 months, you might as well.
But we're just dropping like wisdom nuggets left and right in this podcast. I freaking love it. And I'm also finding out so many fun facts about different countries. I love that too. And that just shows that you really immerse yourself in the culture because you know about this. I'm sure the average overseas player does not know that Russia is known for ballets in theater. So kudos to you. Thank you. Absolutely. Well, Jill, this has been an amazing interview. Before we step off, into this portion, we move on to our crazy overseas story portion of the show. For a young girl, or even, a WMA player or a person playing overseas, they've just gotten injured. What advice would you give them, for them? They want to, continue to play professional. They want to get to the next level. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. I know it might seem bleak at the moment. You're hurt. You don't know what that looks like going forward, but don't give up on yourself. I think if you want something, you can have it. So I know it's so cliche to just say, don't give up. I'm trying to think of like this enlightened thing that I can say, but it's really the basics of just show up every day. Like every day is a win. You're 1% better every day. A lot of times I think in rehab, like we want to see ourselves go from, I don't know, like walking to all of a sudden doing like sprinting. And it doesn't work like that. one foot in front of the other. Okay, the next thing is strengthening this muscle, or the next thing is getting this flexion back. Like, it's a puzzle and you have to put every piece together. So don't get frustrated, don't get overwhelmed, just one day at a time. That was my biggest thing with rehab, is I started to develop like one day at a time. Maybe one day wasn't as great. Maybe, you know, you had a setback, which happens in rehab or when you get hurt, but the next day is another day. It's another day to get better, just 1%. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I needed to hear that. Thank you, Jill. The question was kind of for me. I definitely needed to hear that, because there's just times where I'm like, I feel like I should be like, I should be doing this already. Like, I should be bumping and moving and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I just feel like I'm ready, but I know that I can't rush back. I can't, you know, try to do something that my body is not prepared for. It's those little things that I have to train my body to do in order to sustain healthiness.
Yes, 1,000%. Got it, girl. Just one day at a time. I know you're not going to give up. You're a hard worker. It's in your DNA. Like, one day at a time, you're going to be good for sure.
Thank you, Jill. Well, this is an amazing interview. That was amazing wisdom left and right. But to end the show, I always ask my guest, what is their craziest overseas experience? I'm sure you have some, because you've been immersed in the culture. You've been thick.
Yes.
Into the thick of it.
Oh, craziest overseas story. You know, you told me at the beginning to think about this, and I still like to. So when you say crazy, does it have to be like basketball related? Is it just like an experience?
Anything, like, on or off the court, anything. I mean, your phone freezing is pretty darn crazy.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely one. Let me think. I think the craziest experience I had was literally, and it's gonna be Russia again, because Russia, right? So I went into the grocery store. This is not anything crazy. It's probably what happens to all Americans when they're overseas. I went into the grocery store when I first got there. Don't know how the money works. I have zero idea how the currency works. Yes. Like, how is it equal to the dollar? Blah, blah, blah. I remember going in, buying my first like stuff for my apartment, seasonings, the staples that I need for the next 6 months or whatever. And when she's bringing it up, and I look at the computer screen to see the total, and the total was like, I think it was like 2,100 rubles or like 2,400 rubles, something crazy, an astronomical number. And I'm like, how does this translate to American money? Like, did I just drop $500 that I have a deal about? Like, I was so like unprepared. And usually I research before I start spending my money, but for whatever reason I didn't that time. And I was like, and I just swiped my card, like my hand is shaking. I'm like, oh, what I'm paying for. I don't know how much this is gonna be. I remember taking that receipt, going home. I texting my translator, like, what does this mean? How much did I spend? Googling like USD to ruble, like how much did I just spend? And I only spent, I think, like $15. The ruble was so, I think 1 ruble at $1 at the time equaled like 77 rubles. Like the currency
was low.
It was low. I was like,
you was buying everything out there.
Russia, that's one thing. Russia, I was living my best life. Like, I was saving so much money. But that was like when my heart literally sunk into like the bottom of my like butt. I was like, how much money did I just spend in this?
So I bought some salt and pepper, some chicken.
Yeah, so that's probably one of my craziest experiences. And a lot of things, like for overseas people who play overseas, like our everyday experiences are crazy. Like we step outside the door and boom, we're in a whole nother world. Different language, different culture, different customs. Like every day is almost like a crazy experience. Like, so that to me, for someone who may be super ordinary, like, oh, you just went to the store. No, but like, did you go to the store and not understand what was what and then not know how much you're paying? Like, that's not. Yeah.
I definitely got you. Then you try to go to a certain store that has like more Americanized things that you understand more. It's a process overseas. Once you figure out, what you got to do, what store you got to go to. Some of the, like some stores have better English speakers. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to this store because I know it's gonna be kind of complicated for what I need to get.
Yeah.
Even for me, like saying yes and no in Turkish, like I struggle with that. Saying I really tried to learn the language, but even like even saying yes and no to like the cash register, like they ask a certain question, I'm like, higher. And it probably seems like rude to them. Like, I'm pretty sure there's like a nice way for me to be like, no, thank you. Like, at least in Hungarian, I can say that, I can say like, nimkösi, which is no, thank you. But in Turkey, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
No, I know they probably think we're so rude, but it's like,
right.
we're really trying. I really try to give every country its respect. I'll try to learn. Like, I was just in Poland. My teammates were amazing. Like, I learned so much Polish. So it's like little things that we take for granted here in America, like how we can just walk into a store and talk to someone and say, want this? No, we don't want that. It's a whole nother experience overseas. But once you get into it, once you're there after a month, a couple weeks, 2 months, you start to learn the lay of the land and how things work. So it's definitely a process.
Absolutely. Well, before we end, let's get a little Polish lesson.
Oh man, okay.
Just something simple. How would you say hi, bye, and thank you?
Okay. So dzień dobry is how you say basically good day or hello. That's how you greet.
It kind of seems a little French.
Yeah, dzień dobry. It's yeah, it is kind of that little
yeah.
You say dzień dobry, like you, hey, like good morning. Like when my teammates walked into the locker room, dzień dobry, like, or cześć. Cześć is how you say hello. Cześć, which is pretty easy. It's just like
that's easy.
The cześć. Goodbye. What was goodbye? Hold on. Dang, look at me saying that I know what I'm talking about. It's been a minute. Cześć. What was it? Blanking right now. I think it was Papa. That's what it was. It was Pa. So like you say bye, you'd be like Pa, like when my teammates leave, like literally PA, like Pa. And then if you say it back to back, like Papa, like bye. So that was really cool. Like super easy stuff. So and yes was talk and no was nie. So like pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. Look at us. Yeah. Look at Bird's Eye View. You guys just learned some Polish. You guys have an amazing week. Jill, where can we find you on social media so people can follow you and continue to, learn about you?
Of course. On Instagram, my Instagram is Trini Jilly Doe with 3 E's at the end of Doe. My Twitter is Super J, and I'm on Facebook. So add me, follow me. You'll enjoy it here. You'll enjoy.
You will, indeed you will. Well, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at birds_24. And of course, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow us at Birds Eye View .pod on Instagram and the #1 Bird's Eye View on Twitter. Once again, been a blessing. Thank you guys for listening in. I hope you guys enjoyed your Polish lesson and of course, listening from the beautiful Jillian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Thanks for being on. Amazing.
Thank you for having me. You're amazing. Keep doing this. The people need to see this, need to hear this. So keep going. Honestly, this is amazing. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Deuces, y'all.
All right. See ya.